Yeah, first video I wanted to watch on today's stream, completely unrelated to politics, because fuck politics, fuck philosophy. We're talking about math and fucking finance, baby. Let's fucking go. We're going to talk some statistics today. Watching this Veritasium video, would you take this bet? Basically the main idea of the video, he's going to propose some bets to random people, and he's going to explain why they're dumb for it, but I'm going to defend some of those people. Some of them, not all the time. But this is a 6-year-old video, but I don't know, it's just something I thought about pretty recently, because I think on a Destiny stream, he made one of the points in the video, and I was like, wait, this is actually kind of dumb. And it reminds me of that Veritasium video. And I'm learning some stuff in finance that's kind of similar to this, so it's like, hey, I can actually like do some schoolwork. I can actually study. On stream. Wow, isn't that great? Dogma Felix says more people are watching this than listening to my music, but yeah, let's hear what's going on out here. Let's get it. Let's get it. So let's start the video.
I want you to consider this bet.
How's the volume? Hopefully the volume's good. Is it sounding good?
Here's $10.
Okay.
This could be your...
Let's restart it.
I want you to consider this bet. Here's $10. This could be yours. If I flip this coin in the air, you guys call it in the air. If you're right, I give you the $10. If you're wrong, you give me $10.
I saw that coming.
Why is it lagging?
That's not a good bet for me.
That's a terrible bet, by the way. But it's lagging like crazy.
With the idea of betting.
Okay. But
my internet
what
is
if we
garbage.
just use this as like an
Holy
allegory
crap.
for life?
Wow, my internet is terrible. Are we gonna actually get to watch this video? Okay.
Consider this bet. Here's
Consider
$10.
the bet.
This could be
$10.
yours. If I
It
flip
could
this
be
coin in
yours,
the air,
guys.
you guys call it in the air. If you're right, I give you the $10. If
50-50
you're wrong,
chance.
You give me $10.
I saw that coming.
Garbage bet. Garbage bet. If I could have my $10 now, why the fuck would I waste that for $20? Equal chance. I mean, expected value of that shit is $10. Why the fuck would I waste my money? Fuck that. Yeah, exactly.
It's not a good bet for me. I guess in
All you're doing is taking on stupid fucking risk for no reason. For no reason. You're making no money. Why would you take on the risk for nothing? Okay.
principle, I don't agree with the idea of betting.
Okay. But what if we just use this as like an allegory for...
You have no incentive to take the risk. There you go. One principle you should always remember. You need some incentive if you're going to take on any risk. Why the fuck would you take on risk if you're going to have a 0% return? This is basic finance. Basic life skills, too. Like, Jesus. This could be applied to anything. Why would I take on any sort of risk if I'm going to get nothing in return?
For life.
Yep,
You know, it's not really about money and betting on a coin. It's more about our approach to risk.
Okay, and my approach to risk is obviously a lot less than yours.
You wouldn't do this bet?
No.
No, I don't have $10.
My gut says don't bet.
Why is that?
Because at the moment I have $10 and later I might not.
So people are passing up the opportunity to win $10 of my money. But it kind of makes sense because they have to risk...
Yeah, but the issue is here. The expected return is nothing, but the standard deviation here, it's whatever. It's not nothing. You could have a risk-free $0 gain or a $0 gain with no risk, basically, or with more risk. And I'm going to take the $0 gain.
$10 of their money, and it's a 50-50 chance. So really the bet has zero value.
So he's going to do that.
What if I sweeten the deal? What if I put up $12 to your 10? You only stand to lose 10, you stand to gain 12. How's that sound?
I still wouldn't bet.
I feel like I'm better off just leaving it as it is.
I'm gonna offer you $15. You only have to put up 10, I'm putting up 15.
No.
I'm offering you an extra $5. Why not?
Wait, let's keep it going. Let's keep it going.
What about 20?
That's
That's as high as I'm going today. $20, that is the top. It's 2 to 1.
I just don't like taking that much risk.
You don't like risking $10.
Sure.
Your
I'm
$10 a
valuing my
lot.
$10. I am.
But why don't you value my $20, which you got a 50% chance of right here if you accept the bet?
I don't know. I can't tell you. It's not like I don't know what the logical reason is for why I want that.
I don't know. I can't really, I just feel it's not right.
Now this doesn't make sense. I've offered people up to $20 and they're still refusing to take the bet. The bet is objectively in their favor. I mean, a 50% chance.
That's kind of true. So it's true that here, like, the expected value of that bet is going to be whatever the fuck he says it is. It's probably like whatever. He's going to say.
Winning 20 plus a 50% chance of losing 10 still gives the bet an overall value of $5.
Yep, $5.
Why is it that
So your expected value here is $5. However, you're still taking on a risk. There's still a standard deviation here. So the question is $5 sufficient payment for the risk you're taking? And that's not necessarily the case. It's not necessarily true for everybody. Now, I'd say that's probably a good bet. I'd probably take it, but the amount of risk that someone's willing to take is entirely subjective. We actually have an equation for this in finance called the utility function. So the idea is the utility of something. Oh, I have it written already, but let's write it down again, because I was making sure I remembered what this was earlier. But you have this basic idea in finance called the utility function, and the idea basically is you have this is ultimately like the utility of your investment that you're making. Here you have your expected return, which is like which is what is calculating here, back here, where it was the $5. But you have some amount that you're taking off because of the amount of risk that you're taking. And the sigma squared, that's the variance. The divided by 2, that's just like extra constant. And this A, this is a completely arbitrary number. It's dependent on the person almost. But what it's saying is different people have different risk tolerances. Different people are willing to take on different amounts of risk. And there's not like one right answer for the amount of risk that you should take on versus shouldn't take on. So the issue is, even if there is an expected return that is positive, it's not necessarily the case that you should always take that bet. Like, I mean, there's a lot of like bonds, for example, where the expected value is probably like a 5% gain, but you probably shouldn't take a lot of them. I guess 5% is probably pretty low, but like could be like junk bonds with really high rates of return, but you might not necessarily want to take on that risk. I mean, most bigger companies don't do that. But I mean, if you're like younger and you don't want to and you want to take more risks and you have a lot more potential to like recoup that money later, you might want to take on that sort of risk. So it's really, so there's not like, I guess the main thing I wanted to talk about here is there's not like a right answer here. Like he's presenting this in a way like, oh, these people are dumb because they're not taking on a risk. Like, because they're not taking on a risk that could benefit them. But you shouldn't always necessarily take on risks that benefit you. You have to weigh it based off of how much risk you're actually taking. You can consider the expected value of $5 a payment for the risk of losing versus the risk of winning or whatever. So I mean, in this case, we can consider like the expected value is $5, and then you can think of, I think we can call like the standard deviation as square root of, it's all the expected returns times the probability. So it's like your -10 minus 5 squared, and then you have that times, let's not use R, let's use R1. That times 0.5 plus, I think it's 20 minus 5. Right, because your expected return is $5, right? Yeah. Oh, you're gaining, it's versus 10 versus losing. Wait, you're gaining 10 versus losing 5? No, you're gaining 20 versus losing 10. So then that's going to be squared. So yeah, then your standard deviation is going to be like 15, and that might not even be worth it. That's a lot of risk that you're taking on there. And if you're going to like plug that into this equation, I mean, it's just not worth it a lot of the time. I guess, yeah, it's just not necessarily worth it. Because they're not like, I wouldn't risk everything for a potential 50% gain, essentially. That's the idea. Like, you're gaining 50%, you're gaining, like, having a 50% gain on your money. And so it's going to go up by $5, which is a 50% rate of return, right? But you're risking $10 and you have a chance of losing everything. So yeah, it's just not necessarily worth it. So I guess if we were to plug that in, I guess the expected return would be 0.5 here actually. 0.5, and then right, because it's, hold up, 2 times point, wait, this is going to be 2 times 0.5. It's hard to do math on stream, I just realized. This is like, these are easy calculations. Yep, okay, that's perfect. Okay, so then the idea is that you want to subtract a risk aversion constant times your S, which is your variance over 2. So we can give that a value of like whatever. So like these are all pretty reasonable values of A. Like this is your risk aversion constant. So this is like how averse you are to risk, how much you don't want to take on risk. So if this number is like really low, it has to be all the way down at like 0.4 before you want to take on that risk. So you have to be really, really, really avoidant of taking on risks if you're going to actually take on that bet. So it's actually like a really bad bet for people to take from a investment point of view. Yeah, this is actually like a terrible bet to take from an investment point of view, because you're risking 50% with a huge
An overall
standard deviation.
value of $5. Why is it that you won't go for this bet?
And I guess also I guess the idea here is so we could actually write this as a graph. Based off of so based off your risk aversion, so you want it to be positive basically, and this A is always going to be positive. So you want the value to be above, like the graph to be above the x-axis. So if anything's above there, then it's good to take on the bet. But anything down here, you shouldn't. So if you have a risk aversion of like 1, which is actually a pretty low risk aversion comparatively, because like in finance we always talk about like stuff around like 2, 3, 5, whatever. So yeah, this is not a good bet actually, like objectively bad. I actually didn't do these calculations before stream, surprisingly, but this is actually like surprisingly lower than I expected.
I don't know, because I don't want to lose $10 just because of that easily.
I know, but you could win $20. Think about
Well,
the gain.
I don't know. I'm thinking more about what I lose than what I win, I think.
I think that's exactly the point, because we feel losses more than we feel gains. There's an asymmetry in the way people perceive gains and losses. Losses are felt much more intensely. In fact, psychologically, most people weight a loss around twice as heavily as a gain. But this varies from person to person. What if I go to $30?
I said even if you had 50, I would still feel the same way.
Is $30 still worth it though? Let's actually see. So you can have a chance to multiply it by 3, and then I should actually just replace this with R1. See, now this will just become easy because it's all already done for me. So now you have this. So now it's a little better. You're starting to get up there, but it's still not even that good yet. Really? Chance for doubling your money. Okay. That surprises me.
Was to $10, that would be a reasonable,
That's when you would say yes.
possibly yes.
You're gonna have to give me like 100.
I think it's the possibility of losing all of your money that's making that calculation go so crazy. But yeah.
And then I lose 10.
This is known as loss aversion. To avoid risking a loss, people will pass up even very favorable bets. But is there a way to overcome our oversensitivity to losses? Let me ask you this. What if I offered to do this 10 times in a row? Same deal, $20 for your 10, flipping this coin.
But then I'd be losing $10 each time, wouldn't I?
You might be. You'd be.
So 10 times in a row means that we, I guess this is just a different statistical thing, means that we can divide this variance by 10. I want to make sure I'm using the right utility function because these numbers seem low. Images. Is there like an actual... I'm like 90% sure it's right. Okay. whatever. But now, see, look at how much better this gets. Because if you do it 10 times, right, then this variance like is divided by 10 by I think the central limit theorem. So now you can see that this is like way above the line every time, basically. So let's go into this as well. Just because you're changing your losses, basically. You're changing the variance.
You're risking $10 each time, but you know this is 50-50, and you know that I'm giving you 10 chances. Is that a better deal? To do it repeatedly?
I don't think so.
What about 100 times?
I don't think
It doesn't
so.
get better?
No.
If we
It's
played
way
enough
better.
and I had enough, of a stake of $10, then eventually, yes, I would make more money, yes.
Why does repeating the same bet change it?
I don't think there's a rational thought behind it. It's just a feeling that one gets when presented.
See, now this is actually just dumb. Like, these people are actually just stupid. Like, that's a good bet to take.
With the opportunity. I don't know.
I think there is a rational reason behind it.
Is it?
Yeah. Because the coin is going to be 50-50. But you don't know on one toss, you're only going to get one outcome. But in 100 tosses, you know that it's going to be somewhere between like 45 and 55 times it's going to go your way, 45 to 55 times it's going to go my way, right? The point is, every time it goes your way, you win twice as much as you lose when it goes my way. So the point is, doing it 100 times, you're basically guaranteed
More chances
to win
of
money.
winning.
No. It's not more chances of winning. It is you are guaranteed to win money.
Yep,
In
exactly.
fact, the expected value of 100 of these bets is a win of $500. And there's only a 1 in 2,300
Jeez.
chance of losing any money at
Yup.
all. So even if you weight losses twice as much as gains, 100 bets is indisputably favorable. So here's the thing. How do you accept 100 of these bets if you won't first accept one of those bets? This experiment is not about gambling. It's not to encourage you to go to the casino where the odds are definitely stacked against you. Instead, it is a metaphor for all the little risks.
So, but the earlier part of this video, I didn't think was true at all. Like, I think that's, like, you're presenting these people with these insane risks. You're presenting them with, like, you could lose everything or double your money, basically. And that's a pretty big risk depending on how much you're risking. I mean, $10 isn't really much. I'm fine with losing $10. But from, like, a mathematical perspective, that's still, like, from a finance perspective, the potential to either lose 100% of your money or double your money, it's just not worth it. It's, like, if it's a 50-50 chance, I mean, that's kind of what those calculations showed. Like, imagine there's some stock out there, for example. Let's say, like cryptocurrency, like, or let's say a fucking NFT or some shit like that. Some just completely valueless shit. You can buy that and you have a potential of getting a ton of money, or you could basically lose everything because it's completely it has absolutely no value. You don't take that gamble. Maybe you could do it like a ton of times if it's a 50-50 chance. If you bought a bunch of that shit and maybe one of them goes big, maybe one of them doubles, maybe. But I actually don't know the odds on, like, NFTs, for example. But diversifying maybe might be a good thing. But just taking, like, one of those bets is not a good idea.
And opportunities that come our way in our lives. I mean, if you view each one as an independent event, you will often say no to even very good bets because you're afraid of the loss. So if instead you can see each little bet as one of a series of bets, then you realize that if you take that bet every time, you may win and you may lose, but overall, on the aggregate, you will come out ahead.
That's pretty based.
Heads. Heads it is.
He's just won himself
Look at
12
that.
bucks.
Woohoo!
This is staged. This is
10 bucks is
staged.
yours, sir.
Thank you, sir. Heads. Thank you very
The
much.
man has won 20 bucks. See, it pays to take the risk. Hey! Yes! This is unbelievable. My stroke of luck today has been terrible. Everyone's won off me so far. I'm funding myself. Okay. That's honestly my money.
This is definitely staged. This is cap.
Really? Yeah. This video is in fact a bit of a risk for me because I'm giving out all this money and it's only going to make money on YouTube if like 500,000 people see it. So if you like this video, then you should share it with your friends so that this actually turns out to be a positive bet.
This dude really won this bet. See, look at this, guys. Actually, we do get a political lesson here. Look at that. Not everything's a zero-sum game. Look at that. These people made their money. He made his money. It seemed like he was losing it, but he got 5 million views on this video. And look at that. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Everybody wins. Capitalism, baby. Let's fucking go. Woo!
For me.
Okay, I'll do that.
Yeah. Share it with your friends. It's Veritasium. It's the name of the website.
Veritasium.
Veritasium.
So would you take this one-off bet? Let me know in the
Fuck
comments
no.
below and tell me how much money I would have to...
Well, that was that for that video. Not really. It was more just talking about a little bit of finance, talking a little econ, some math, doing some fun math calculations, showing you guys the utility function if you've never heard of that. It's just some really basic finance stuff, and I don't know. And I guess if we want to talk about this a little bit more, one of the biggest ways that this is used, at least in the class that I'm using it in, is to help me to decide like how much of my portfolio I want to invest in a risky asset versus a riskless asset. Because if you basically the goal of an investment would be to maximize this function essentially. So if you can maximize that function, then you can get a pretty good like distribution of assets in your portfolio. So yeah, that's the basic idea. Basic finance, guys. So this is it. I think this is going to be the part that's going on YouTube later. And let's actually get on with the stream a little bit some more. Bye, YouTube.